And it confirms the appointment of Professor Joash Amupiton, a senior advocate of Nigeria, as the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, after 3 hours of rigorous screening. Meanwhile, political activities are gathering momentum in Anambra State as political parties and their candidates jostle for the #1 seat in the state. Ensuring a credible outcome, the National Peace Committee has launched the Election Security Information Hub ahead of the 2027 general election, in line with the saying that security is everyone's business. Just as the Nigeria Civil Society organizations commit to credible polls in Anambra State come November 8, 2025. Meanwhile, we'll talk about party ideology today. What attracts citizens to identify with a political party? We have these and more on our lineup. I'm Fisayo Ogunfuyi. This is Political Update. The Nigerian Senate has confirmed the appointment of Professor Joash Amupiton, SAN, as the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports that he was confirmed after 3 hours of screening in the Red Chamber.
The nomination of Professor Joash Ojo Omupitan, senior advocate of Nigeria, is hereby confirmed as the chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission.
The confirmation of Professor Amupiton, SAN, as INEC chairman marks the beginning of his journey into Nigeria's vast political landscape.
How will your policy decisions are not influenced by external forces? Please, just give me step-by-step description on how you can achieve this.
What mechanism are you going to put in place to detect when such compromises occur?
What strategy will you bring to manage the complexity of the country?
How are you going to distinguish between this? Between loyalty, independence, respect, and patriotism?
We have less than 30 million people voting. How are you going to build the confidence in people?
The professor of law, whose 3 decades of career was in the academic environment, told lawmakers at the screening that he will improve on the achievements recorded over the years with regards to integrity, transparency and accountability in the country's electoral system.
One of the things that we have to do is to work out an internal mechanism that we can use to trail the behavior of humans. In the first place, I'm taking this position on trust, and the people who I'm going to work with, they must also appreciate the fact that they are there on trust.
Professor Amupiton is the 6th chairman of the commission since the return of democracy in 1999. Senate plenary featured the defection of Senator Benson Komboye, representing Bayelsa Central, from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressives Congress.
Now, ahead of the 2027 general election, the National Peace Committee has launched the Election Security Information Hub to strengthen the safety, credibility and integrity of the country's electoral process. Executive Director and Head of the Secretariat of the committee at the Kuka Center, Ataba Kindo, says the initiative aims to support the democratic governance program in Nigeria.
The National Peace Committee believes the strength of every democracy rests on the credibility of its elections and the confidence of its citizens in the process. The committee identified insecurity as a threat over the years as each election cycle exposes familiar vulnerabilities, weak coordination, delayed responses, and limited access to credible information. Recent elections, including the 2023 general election and the 2024 off-cycle polls, reveal the magnitude of these threats according to the Peace Committee.
Let this hope serve as a reminder of what is possible when vision meets partnership, where information, credible information, protects democracy, and where security will safeguard the will of our people.
Democracy flourishes where peace is protected, justice is upheld, and institutions work together in good faith.
This is the beginning of a long journey, and this is a great day for us as we seek to add confidence in the work of the electoral process in Nigeria.
The Election Security Information Hub serves as a repository for gathering, analyzing, and sharing verified data on insecurity and its impact on it.
All right, just a few weeks to the Anambra governorship election. Candidates of different parties jostling for the #1 seat in the state. And they have intensified their grassroots campaigns and mobilization ahead of the November 8th governorship election in that state.
The candidate of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, and the governor of the state, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, has continued his community tour, where he promised the electorate that if allowed to continue with another term of 4 years, Anambra would meet her desired goal of becoming the best state in global map.
With all the things going on everywhere, all the local governments and most communities touched one way or the other, these past 3 years we still have not borrowed one kobo.
In the meantime, the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Prince Nicholas Ukachukwu, and his running mate, Senator Uche Kunife, believe that if given the opportunity, a lot more will be done in improving the infrastructure and security of lives and property in the state.
Nobody will deceive you anymore. APC, Tinubu is APC. We are APC. We are Tinubu. Nothing can change it.
In another development, the candidate of the Action Alliance, AA, Comrade Jeff Nweke, said if elected, improving the well-being of the masses will be his top priority.
What we want is quality education. What we want is quality infrastructure.
All right, we're just enjoying the parties, who are participating in a number of polls to keep it cool. No need of more slinging. Just, tell the people exactly what you want to do and keep it locked on the NTA. We have 2 outlets out there in Onitsha and Awka, so you can reach out to them, and as our responsibility to let Nigerians know exactly what your brief is from your party to the people of the state, and so we're counting down to that. Now, talking about a number of elections, and of course, just there you saw also the screening and the eventual, announcement of the new INEC chairman, and some of the concepts he shared also at the Red Chamber, talking about his session with the senators yesterday. So to talk about all this and what is on the table for INEC, we have Arms-Free Ajanaku, Executive Director at Grassroots Center for Rights and Civic Orientation, GRACO. Thank you very much, Arms-Free, for joining us. You watch closely what happened at the Red Chamber yesterday, and of course putting that side by side with the very first task for the INEC. Of course, we will just be watching and monitoring, because most of what INEC needs to do, it has done before this confirmation, talking about the Anambra polls. But what are your early impressions of Professor Amupitan?
Yeah, thank you so much. I think our early impression is that he made the right statement. He has practically put out some parts of his agenda in the early days, which is basically a review of some of the issues that have dogged the electoral process, particularly going back to the 2023 general elections, the famous issue of the glitches, and then he also looked forward in terms of how would he try to manage the lapses and the challenges within INEC's own internal architecture and internal mechanisms, and he has actually laid a framework. So I think this appointment really ticks the box, even though those of us in civil society still continue to say that the Uwais report has given us a pathway, a template to ensure that INEC is independent and is insulated from political, that political exposure that comes from a simple
maneuverings and considerations.
Exactly. So I think in terms of all of that, it's a good start. But what most civic actors are saying is that, yes, we've heard this over the years. We've heard previous INEC helmsmen come in and say these right words, but we want to see words and action aligning. And that is where Professor Amupitan will be closely watched. And of course, all of us across the civic space want to support him. And it's also very interesting that he talked about collaboration and also building the capacity of civic actors to be able to spark that renewed interest in Nigeria's democratic process.
All right, let's quickly go to Anambra in terms of monitoring of the exercise there. Are the parties, the rhetorics, and the interaction with the people of Anambra tickling your fancy, or is there still some distance to go in terms of the messaging? Instead of, crossfire amongst candidates, are they really reaching out to the people?
Yes, so a close observation of the narratives, because we have to talk about the narrative strategy. There was a point in the campaign where everything degenerated into mudslinging, into character assassination, into vitriolic kind of rhetoric that did not do any good for what we want to see in terms of robust participation of citizens. But I think those weeks of them going at each other, the personal attacks have gone by now, and we're seeing increasingly discussions around continuity from the ruling ABGA. You also have the other political parties weighing in and talking in terms of how they want to better the welfare of the people. Some other parties are talking about security, and so there's a little bit of the issues, but those issues are being discussed in terms of meta-narratives, grand narratives that do not really break down the data in a way that the people can connect to the issues and use that connection to make decisions at the polls. So I think that is where we still have a gap in terms of the narrative strategy of the various political parties.
All right, I think they have 3 weeks to do that. Let's still continue to, monitor. We go to our second topic. Now, ideology is what attracts citizens to identify with a political party. But in contemporary Nigerian politics, are there clear-cut ideologies? We look at this report in the background, in the backdrop of recent happenings in the political space.
The Democrats, the Republicans, names that gave the ideological direction of the political parties in the United States. In Nigeria, a good start in the First Republic. National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons took off with appreciable level of ideological strength, with Nnamdi Azikiwe advocating for united Nigeria and a strong centralized government.
The First Republic, it was based on ideology. There are a lot of beliefs and laid down principles in a certain party which formed the ideology, and they stuck to it.
This beautiful era of NCNC crash-landed with breakaway parties, the Action Group, and the Northern People's Congress, all unfortunately buried with the dark coffin of the 1966 coup d'etat.
Politics was seen from the prism of ethnic origin. That's why when you mentioned Action Group then, what readily came to mind was Yoruba Party under the leadership of Obafemi Awolowo. And typically, because of the name of the party, Northern People's Congress, the NPC was seen as an Northern Party. So that was the foundation of the evolution of political parties in Nigeria.
The Fourth Republic, longest stay of democracy in Nigeria, 26 years and still counting. A counting that affects both the number of political parties and the factions, rendering ideology like an orphan in the political equation.
In any point in life, one realizes that the ideology they used to believe in no longer exists, or they no longer believe in that ideology, hence the movement of that individual to another party in which they believe more of their ideals and their principles in that particular party.
When people start jumping for one reason or the other, I find that most of them have the different agenda, different ulterior motive. They probably want their position they don't get. So they are not there just for the masses. They are there for their own selfish interests.
You are talking about people jumping over. What of people that stays inside a particular political party and now work for another political party? And then party officials will see it because they're part of it and they will not say anything about it.
Ideology may be losing its place in the political parties, but still standing tall in some individuals, bearing in mind the dynamics of life.
Ayo Fayoshi will not move from PDP to any political party, not even APC. I am this year 65 years.
Political parties now deploying ICT to strengthen membership drive and coming up with institutes to instill in members their political ideologies. Will such moves reform the political parties? Only time will tell.
Some say they are jumping any sinking ship for the winning team, but in what appears to be a major political shake-up in Bayelsa State, in the course of the week, Governor Doyediri, along with the Speaker, the Deputy, and majority of the members of the Bayelsa State House of Assembly, announced resignation for the People's Democratic Party, PDP. The governor made the announcement on Wednesday at Government House, Yenegua, citing what he described as obvious developments within the party that no longer align with the ideals of fairness, unity, and progress.
Extensive consultations. Today, the 15th day of October 2025, I wish to formally notify you that in keeping with the extant protocols, I, Governor Doyediri, do hereby resign my membership of the People's Democratic Party. And I'm not going to resign alone. And as you can see, I'm here with Mr. Speaker, Deputy Speaker, and all the members of our party who are going to go with me.
Governor of Bayelsa State, Senator Doyediri, has not told us where he's going, but in the course of the week, of course, earlier, Governor Peter Mbah of Enugu had joined the APC train, swelling the ranks of the APC and depleting that of the PDP. Amsira Janaku is still right here. There's a rush for the APC these days at the very top of the echelon of political stalwarts of other parties, most especially the PDP, are falling casualty of this. A lot of them are moving to the APC. It seems as if PDP, that prides itself as the biggest opposition party, is fast depleting Namsfree.
Absolutely. I think this calls for sober reflection, because I want to analyze the defections from 2 or 3 points of views. Number one is the concept of democratic accountability. How do you take the mandate of a people from a political party, and then without any decision of the people, you take that same mandate to another political party without any form of accountability? I mean, that's a question that is hanging, in the air. The next part of it is, what is the impact of this on our democratic process? We are talking about a time where we have seen decline in democratic participation. So by the time you have parties that you cannot even choose between them, they are more or less the same. By the time you have everybody moving in one direction, what is the democratic choice for the Nigerian people? And in terms of also accountability in governance, there is a very serious issue that is raised, because a virile, constructive, agile, and very engaged opposition is a very critical component of any democracy that would deliver the goods to the people. And so if you have a situation in which everybody has jumped ship, and then the ruling party currently now has absolute majority in the Senate, I understand, the question is, where does this leave our democracy? So increasingly...
Let me jump in very quickly. The PDP itself used to be the recipient of orders cross-carpeting to the PDP before now. APC itself is a child of opposition politics, galvanizing its strength from different political parties who were dissatisfied with the PDP at the time and came together in 2013. Is it that the PDP has not been able to perhaps play its role this time that is in opposition, having been used to being at the center, and has not been able to muscle itself, perhaps gathered momentum behind itself while APC was in the center?
Absolutely. I think the answer to that question is a resounding yes. The fact that PDP has exemplified one of the characters of a weak political party. That is why you can have a situation in which people who have attained the heights of their political careers on that platform can suddenly, without recourse to principle, without recourse to any form of accountability, turn their backs on the party because the party has not devised a very strong form of internal conflict resolution mechanism. And so everybody is jumping ship at the slightest pretext. But I think this is also a clarion call to other elements in the opposition, because we cannot say we are running a democracy and we do not have a virile opposition. We do not have a strong opposition that will match the ruling party idea for idea. And you can also see that it is also taking a toll on the question of what choices would the people have if everybody is moving in one direction.
I had a guest from the APC, Honorable Farouk Lawal, about a couple of weeks ago to explain to me exactly what is happening. In his own way, he says, what is exactly his opposition? That is basically guys who used to be in power and are no longer in power, and so are dissatisfied with the fact that they are no longer in power. In terms of a credible opposition, it has to be ideologically based, as we saw in that report by Mayor Gidi. But have we been able to do that? Have we been able to put together, the ideology as we saw in the Naples, the action groups, the UPNs of this world? Do we have that class of politicians in Nigeria as it were today?
I think that's an interesting perspective. But even those political parties in the past that we talk about, that we try to romanticize as the beacon of ideological politics, the ideologies of those days did not drop from the sky. People evolved those ideologies. Those ideologies that came to become entrenched in our political system were products of research. They were products of conversations among the people in terms of what should be the priorities for development, for governance. That is how ideology is formed. Even though in some, in the context of some Western thinkers, they will say that ideology is dead in the context of capitalism and Marxism and socialism and all of that. But our own objective conditions can become the basis for us to formulate ideologies. And which is why I made the point earlier about the fact that what these politicians jumping have practically done is to create a space. They have created a vacancy. And so there are other core elements of the opposition which are organizing. Because as a civic actor, I cannot in all good conscience say that what is currently developing in our polity is a good thing for the evolution of our democracy.
Arms free, I've gotten your thoughts free of charge, but time is not our friend. We'll have to get you back because the political space continues to evolve. We see how things pan out as we proceed. Of course, we're getting to the business end of our electoral cycle. Starting with Anambra, we'll get to Ekiti and Osun State off-season elections next year, and then we'll go to the big one in 2027. Many thanks to Arms Free Ajanaku for coming. He is the Executive Director, Grassroots Center for Rights and Civic Orientation. Many thanks for watching. And of course, you for also joining us on Political Update, very last for this week. We'll be back again on Tuesday. Between now and then, play your politics for the greater good and keep it locked on Africa's finest and largest Nigerian television authority for news, reviews, previews, and interviews. Bye-bye now.